Millions of people recognize this rifle instantly. It has appeared in documentaries, movies, video games, and on battlefields around the world. But behind its famous image is a story filled with controversy, criticism, and unexpected changes. When the M16 first entered service, many believed it was a mistake. Soldiers questioned it, critics attacked it, and some believed it would never become a reliable military weapon. But history had a different plan. This is the story of how the M16 went from a controversial experiment to one of the most recognizable military designs in history. After the Second World War, the world entered a new era. The Cold War changed the way nations prepared for future conflicts. The United States military began searching for new technologies that could match the challenges of modern warfare. The weapons used in previous wars were effective, but military leaders believed the future required something different: a lighter, more modern design, a weapon that represented a new generation of military technology. At the time, the U.S. military was using older rifle design that had proven themselves in previous conflicts, but the battlefield was changing. And with the Cold War growing, innovation became more important than ever. In the search for a new design, engineers began developing ideas that challenged traditional thinking. One of those engineers was Eugene Stoner. His work would eventually lead to a rifle design that changed military history. The original AR-15 design introduced new concepts and a completely different approach compared to previous rifles. But the biggest test was still ahead. In the 1960s, the M16 entered the most difficult test of its early history, the Vietnam War. A conflict fought in extreme conditions, with dense jungles, difficult weather, and intense combat situations. For many American soldiers, the M16 became their first experience with a completely new generation of military equipment. But introducing new technology into war is never simple, and soon serious questions began to appear. The early years of the M16 were surrounded by controversy. Reports of problems created concern among soldiers, commanders, and military officials. A weapon designed to represent the future was now facing one of the biggest challenges of its existence. The situation led to investigations, debates, and changes in how the rifle was supported in the field. The M16 was no longer just a new design. It had become a symbol of a much larger question. Could new technology truly succeed under the hardest conditions? The lessons learned during Vietnam changed the future of the rifle. Improvements were introduced, training changed, and the military continued developing the platform. Over time, the M16 began moving away from its troubled beginning. The rifle that was once heavily criticized started becoming something different, a platform that could evolve, a design that could adapt, and eventually a symbol of American military technology. After the difficult years of Vietnam, the story of the M16 began to change. Instead of abandoning the design, engineers in the military continued improving it. The goal was simple: create a rifle that could meet the demands of the future. The experience of war showed that technology is never finished after its creation. It must continue to evolve. And the M16 was about to enter a new chapter. The improved versions of the rifle became an important part of the U.S. military. The M16A1 represented a more refined version of the original design. Later, the M16A2 introduced further changes based on years of experience. These improvements helped transform the rifle from a controversial project into a trusted military platform. By the 1980s, the M16 had become a familiar sight among American forces. The M16 was becoming more than military equipment. It became a recognizable symbol of American soldiers around the world. Its design appeared in photographs, documentaries, and popular culture. For many people, the shape of their M16 became instantly recognizable. It represented an era of military history that continued for decades. The story of the M16 did not end with the American military. Over time, the rifle became one of the most recognizable military designs in the world. Its influence could be seen in military technology, equipment development, and modern rifle designs. The ideas behind the platform continued to inspire future generations of firearms. A design created decades earlier continued to leave its mark. But the influence of the M16 reached beyond the battlefield. It became part of popular culture. Millions of people around the world saw it in movies, television, and video games. Even people who knew little about military history could recognize its distinctive appearance. The M16 had become more than a piece of equipment. It had become an image connected with an entire era. The history of the M16 is not a story of perfection. It is a story of challenges, mistakes, improvements, and adaptation. The rifle faced criticism in its early years, but continued to evolve through experience and innovation. And that is what made its story so significant. After decades of service, the M16 remains one of the most recognizable military rifles in history. Its journey was far from simple. It began as a controversial design surrounded by questions and criticism. But through changes and improvements, it became a symbol of adaptation and innovation. From the jungles of Vietnam to military bases around the world, the M16 became part of a story much larger than the rifle itself. It represented decades of engineering, military experience, and technological evolution. Generations of soldiers carried it, millions of people recognized it, and its influence continues to be remembered today. The history of the M16 proves one important lesson. Innovation is rarely perfect from the beginning. The greatest designs are often the ones that can learn, prove, and adapt. The M16 was not just a rifle, it was a chapter in military history. What do you think about the story of the M16? Was it one of the most influential military designs of the 20th century? Share your opinion in the comments.